What is going on, everyone? I do got to cover certain variations, even if there's not enough information on it to determine what is exactly the main line or what is even the best move based on, analysis gives you 5 different things that are all the same. With that being said, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop c5, bishop e3, queen f6, c3, knight comes to e7, and then normally for the continuation of the classical lines, we have bishop to c4, but if the bishop comes to b5, this is called the Paulsen attack. I have pulled up 365chess.com's website, and I have entered the position at hand, and these are master games. It appears to only be 4 lines that are worth talking about, so we're going to go from the top down. I would just use Lichess.com's master game database alone, but the numbers at hand just don't see enough, so I'm trying to pull outside resources to help get a more, concrete answer so I can be more confident behind the information I'm passing on through these videos. From the numbers at hand, it appears that 18 people just castle right away and 26 people bring back their bishop. Well, if they bring back their bishop, that is because if our knight on d4 moves, that bishop is hanging and under attack by our bishop on e3, and everyone that moves back the bishop to b6, the following move that we're going to play is castle, and the following move for black is also castle. Now, if we rewind and black chooses to castle first, and we follow suit with castle, it appears 5 out of 17 people choose to move the bishop back after that. So those 2 positions transpose, and we're going to go down that line first. Between both those routes to arrive at this position, that accounts for 75% of all games in the database, and out of the 44 initial games that they chose to either castle and bring back the bishop first, only 12 of 44 chose not to bring the bishop back to b6 after we castle. Between the database here and Chess 365, it appears that the consensus is bringing the queen over to g6 or pushing the a pawn is the proper way forward. If they push the a pawn to a6, since we're down to just a handful of games, we can't really rely on that anymore. We have to turn to just the analysis. The proper square to run to on our behalf is to c4. We're well into the middle game. There's no point on going forward since it could branch off in 100 different ways. So that's how to take care of the a6 pawn push. And if the queen goes to g6, it appears that our best move through everything I can use is bringing the bishop back to d3 with the threat of pushing e5 with a discovered attack on the queen. Black's best move is pushing d6. From here, there's plenty of moves which all score good. I'm just going to give an example of the top one currently. You can push e5. The knight will go to f5. You can go ahead and swap out the knights on c6. They will recapture with the b pawn, and then you want to go ahead and get rid of the bishops as well. It doesn't matter if they get rid of the bishop with the a pawn or the c pawn. Next move, you're going to grab the d pawn and continue from there. Backing up, let's discuss the continuations, what happens if black doesn't move the bishop to b6 and just castles right away. We're going to go ahead and follow suit, castle as well, and it looks like through all the material I can use, d6 is the move to go, and you can either move the rook over to e1 or push f4. The only other line I want to cover is in the beginning, black doesn't have to move the bishop or castle. They do have an option to do something like push the a6 pawn. If that happens, it appears to be the best for us to retreat the bishop to a4, and then black's best move is to capture the knight on d4. We want to recapture with the c pawn rather than the bishop, because if we recapture with the c pawn, more or less they're either going to advance their queen to g6 or push the d pawn to d5. Both circumstances, it's clear for us to castle after. If by chance we were to recapture the bishop with our bishop, it looks like there's going to be a bunch of trades off. They capture with the knight, we capture with the queen, they capture with the queen, and then we capture with the pawn, and there's just a big push to go towards the endgame as soon as possible. That about wraps things up for the Paulsen attack. There's not really too many more deviations or stuff to talk about, so I will see you on the next video.